Hi, Dr. Nick from Santa Barbara Family Chiropractic. Here to talk to you about reference standards. Okay, so if I asked you who's a reference standard for excellence in basketball, most of you guys might say Jordan, maybe Pippen, maybe Barkley. That's about all my knowledge is in basketball. But yeah, so he would be a reference standard for excellence in basketball. And why is that important? Because reference standards are important because it lets us gauge other information. So if I was going to tell you that I was a good basketball player and didn't give you a reference standard, it doesn't give you any information, right? So it could be compared to my neighbor or my little baby second cousin, or it could be next to a high school player or a college player. It doesn't matter unless we give a reference standard. And if I said, I'm pretty good compared to Jordan, then hey, Dr. Nick's a really good basketball player. I'm not saying that, but that reference standard lets you know a lot more about what I'm saying. Okay. Now, health also has reference standards. Okay. There is a reference standard for excellence in health, and that is based on the literature, hunter-gatherer tribes. Okay, and that means people living in tribes, humans, that hunt and gather. Okay, so Weston A. Price followed a lot of them, met a lot of them, and they had excellent health. There's still some that live around today, not as many as there used to be. We all used to be hunters and gatherers, but there is evidence in the research also about health as it pertains to hunters and gatherers of past and present, and they all have excellent health in regards to chronic disease. There's really little to no cancers, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, allergies, asthma, indigestion, Crohn's, any autoimmune, that kind of stuff really didn't exist and doesn't exist in hunter-gatherer tribes. Okay, so if we know that they are the healthiest in terms of human excellence in health as a reference standard, also we can talk about modeling now. Because if I wanted to become an excellent basketball player like Jordan, one of the easiest ways to improve my game would be to watch what Jordan does and model that. Find out what kind of practice regimen he had and what kind of drills he did and what kind of things he did or put himself in positions to improve his game, and do those types of things or closely mimic that as best I can. And that's going to tell what that's going to do is it's going to improve my abilities to play basketball. Well, you can say that same thing around health, okay? Because if we can model with a reference standard what health is, we're going to increase our health. And it also lets us not compare ourselves to our neighbors. Because if I say I'm healthy next to my neighbor, American neighbor is not a good reference standard. We need to have higher standards and a higher reference for health and excellence in health. Okay, so it is hunter-gatherers. So that means you need to live as closely to hunter-gatherers would, and you become the healthiest. So that's essentially what we teach here: is ways to eat nutrient-dense foods that are low in calories, high in nutrients. Things like Weston A. Price or Paleolithic diets. We also teach exercise, movement patterns that mimic that. Interval training, intensity, functional movements, training movements, not muscles. Also getting chiropractic care to make sure that those joints work. Okay? There's been evidence of manipulation in many primitive cultures. And then also talking about stress management and living in community. Community is huge for health. So making sure that you have some sort of organized or sort of community, like churches or paleo groups, or your gym or your chiropractic facility or your clinic. Those types of places that you can go and connect to other people that are trying to become healthy. Okay, so community, stress management, exercise, movements, and nutrition. All right, those are ways that you can model hunter-gatherers. Look them up, figure out what they did, and then just do something similar. All right, health is simple; it's just not easy. But once you have that model, you just ask yourself, what would a hunter-gatherer do? That's it for today.